Shalom, shalom. I'm Rebekah from Teshuvah Ministries. And again, we are in the middle of my 2021 summer series, Flat Earth Deception. And this is video number 8, episode number 8. So I hope that you've watched all the way 1 to 7. They build on each other, so you need to definitely go watch those before you continue on in order to get a full picture of what we believe about it. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Please like. And don't dislike until you've seen the whole thing. Like, I can't believe how many people have disliked the trailer at this point. There's more people that have disliked it than liked it. It blows me away. It shows the temperature. I'm assuming that people who watch our channel are people who say they are believers in the Messiah. So I don't know where these dislikes are coming from. Probably, it could be from people outside of our ministry. I don't know. But anyway, like this video if you do, and if you don't, just don't dislike it. How about that? If you don't like it, just don't say anything. Just be on your way. Go find another channel to watch. And then be sure and subscribe to our channel. Also go to our website and get on our email list if you want, so you can be notified of other things that Teshuvah Ministry does. And then also support us, please, if you can, and if Yehovah is moving on your heart to do so. So again, there are a ton of resources on our website for you, from the Kingdom University and the Vault and the feast courses, to books to buy and feast products to buy, and DVDs and t-shirts, and there's some apparel there as well. There's all kinds of stuff there. So please go look at our website and check it out. All right, so again, we are in the middle of the 2021 summer series. It is so hot here. I should not be in black and long sleeves. It's very difficult to film with all the lights, and this, I gotta say, it's very hot. But I'm excited about this show here, this episode, because this is about observable phenomenon. So last show, in episode 7, what did we talk about? Can you remember? We talked about the blue marble and my reaction to it, and we also talked about whether or not we're the center of the universe, if you can actually say that. And so flat earthers believe we're the center of the universe, and people who've actually witnessed the earth have said, oh man, we are so not the center of the earth, because we're just a little tiny speck here in the universe. Flat earthers are very egocentric, and they think that everything revolves around them. So there is a balance there. In one hand, we looked at it and we said, yes, we are the center because Yehovah has focused all his attention here. But yes, we are very, very small in this entire universe. So today, we are going to talk about observable phenomenon that does not work with the flat earth model. So we're going to get a little detailed today, and that's good. It's going to help some of you who are, want some science behind this or whatever. I'm not a scientist, I'm just going to point out some phenomenon throughout my research, as I was listening to scientist after scientist after scientist who are baffled at this idea that the flat earth theory is even out there. I've researched, I've listened to a lot of them, and these are some phenomenon, how are you saying, phenomena? that is completely not able to happen. These things cannot happen in a flat earth model. So let's get going. I don't exactly know how many there are, but we are going to take the first one of the lunar eclipse. Yes. All right, so the Earth, in a lunar eclipse, the Earth has to pass between the sun and the moon. So here you have the sun, here you have the moon. And the Earth actually has to pass between the sun and the moon to have this kind of eclipse. So we can clearly see the shape of the earth against the moon, and we know that it's round, okay? Not some other weird shape from the movie E.T., which the Flat Earthers videos, which they make with CGI and with Photoshop and After Effects and all that, they have presented the moon with this weird shape, Earth with the stalactites coming down the disk with, the dome moving across the moon. Now, do we observe this? No. Can we observe a lunar eclipse? Yes. And what do we see? Do we see a weird shape going across the moon? No. We see a circle going across the moon, okay? It turns out that we can observe this to be true with our very own eyes. We can witness these eclipses with our very own eyes, all right? In the flat Earth model, the sun and the moon are in fixed positions opposite each other, and thus a linear eclipse and a red moon, which happens during a lunar eclipse, would never happen. Absolutely never happen. How do you get that? A lunar eclipse would be absolutely impossible in the flat Earth fallacy. And some flat Earth models, yes, the sun may go past, but in no model do you have the Earth passing between the moon and the sun. Okay, it just doesn't happen in the flat Earth model. But does it happen? Yes, it happens. Yes, you can, with your own eyes, see that it happens. Okay, and we see it because the Earth is casting its own shadow against the moon. Observable, all right? Observable science. The Bible and science are not at odds. If you remember back in a couple videos ago or whenever it was, I don't remember how many videos ago, if you remember, history says that there were two dudes back in the late 1800s who, they were historians, and they decided to change the whole narrative of what the medieval church had actually believed, so that they would try to be pitting science and religion against each other, okay? And that happened. They rewrote history when the medieval church didn't even believe in the flat Earth. They believed in the round Earth, the spherical Earth. At least that is what most sources say. And so these two guys changed history, and they said, no. They believed in the flat Earth. And you can't, the flat Earth and religion don't work together. Or the Bible, they don't mesh. You can't get flat Earth out of the Bible. Not when you look at everything in context, and you look at some things as, poetry, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, in another video, okay? But right now we're talking about observable phenomena that does not work in a flat Earth model. Okay, so that was the lunar eclipses, so those don't work. So how about ocean tides? Ocean tides. So gravity is actually required for ocean tides to occur at all. But since gravity is not a thing with flat earthers, they can't explain the ocean tides. Tides would be absolutely impossible in the flat earth fallacy. All right, so yeah. You have to have gravity to have tides. Okay. All right, so there's the lunar eclipse problem, there's ocean tides problem, and now we run into the planets. This is also something that does not work in the flat Earth model. Flat Earthers actually believe that the planets aren't really planets, and they're in the snow globe. They're in the dome, which is, I want to tear my hair out because it's so stupid. I can't believe it. But here's the thing that flat earthers cannot actually explain. So they try to rationalize everything with these jigsaw puzzle pieces like we talked about earlier that don't make sense and don't make a big picture. They're chaos making. But here's something that Mars does that I don't know if you know. Mars actually has what's called a retrograde motion, and they've studied this. They know, the scientists, true scientists, have studied Mars. And according to Simon Dan, he says that Mars, for example, spends time moving in one direction in the sky, and then for a couple of months, it will loop backwards and start traveling the opposite direction, and then loop back and carry on the way it was going before, end quote. Flat earthers can't explain these things, so they just choose to believe that the planets don't exist, okay? I don't understand, like, you can actually observe this. You can observe Mars' retrograde motion. It goes one way, and then turns around and goes the other way, and then goes this way. I think Papa just threw that in to, like, make people have to, like, think again. wait a minute, that doesn't work. Like, instead of creating their own theories, he's like, I'm going to throw this one in here just to make sure that you can't figure this out. That it would only work in this situation that I created, not in your fabricated lies. That's what I think. And he does this with evolution too. I mean, in the sense of he's thrown things into the way he's created things to completely disprove any kind of irrational, nonsensical, wicked, evil from the pit of hell theory, like evolution and flat earth. He's got these things in his creation that he's put in there for you to stumble across, these people to stumble across, and to hopefully make them think twice, you know. But, you know, unfortunately, I feel like evolutionists, flat earthers, and all these other people, they want to believe what they want to believe. So, you know, I feel like they're hard-headed. I feel like, you know, flat earthers are hard-headed. They're going to die for what they believe. It's like you couldn't possibly try to change their mind about this. They have, you know, I've watched a lot of interviews and stuff, and they're like, this is the way it is, and they will not be changed. So either they're being solidified in what they believe, and this is according to Jehovah's plan, or there's something about the lie, you know, that really gets so ingrained, so deeply seated in there that once you buy into it, you're pretty much a goner. I don't know. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that there is some people who are listening to me right now who are either on the fence with this and who can see what I'm saying and go, whoa, I almost went down that chasm, not going to do that. You know, that's kind of what I'm hoping, is at least maybe I can catch somebody before they go off the cliff. That's what I'm hoping, because I feel like those that have gone off the cliff, they're hard-headed and just stubborn, and they want what they want. So let's go on. All right, so we're looking at observable phenomena that does not work with the flat earth model. So we saw lunar eclipses don't work, the ocean tides don't work, the planets don't work. Now let's talk about the sun. So all flat earthers seem to know about the sun is that it's bright. Okay, but scientists have extensively studied and researched the sun and how it works. Flat earthers ignore all of their research, but here's something interesting. Flat earthers don't have any idea how the sun generates heat. Right? The scientists know. The scientists have studied it. In fact, there are satellites right now that are being probed. They're called probes, and they're going closer and closer to the sun so that they can study more and more about the sun. Now, again, this is really propagated by the, the global warming, the environmentalists, and the people who love Mother Earth, that sort of thing. They're going deeper into space, and now they're going towards the sun to figure out how it works. Like I said before, remember, the rain falls on the wicked and the righteous, right? Just like the photos of these witnesses who witnessed the Earth from the moon. That those photos fall on the wicked and the righteous as well. It's what we do with it. It's what we do with the evidence, all right? So again, the flat earthers don't understand how the sun actually generates heat. We all know that the sun generates heat, but they have no idea. So they can't explain this in their model. One other thing is a phenomena that flat earthers can't explain and that doesn't work in the flat earth model, is the southern pole stars. Okay, as Simon Dan said in his video, 5 Things Flat Earthers Can't Explain, if the world was a flat disk, and according to their map, the flat map, if 3 people stood, one in Australia, one in South Africa, and one in Chile, and they were all looking due south, if there was such a thing, because they don't really believe in south, right? But if they were standing and looking directly that way, how in blue blazes, he says, are they all seeing the exact same stars? Because let me assure you, they absolutely do. Okay, so the flat earth map doesn't make sense at all. So on the flat earth map, if you've got these 3 people standing on, Australia and Chile and in South Africa, they would be looking directly opposite each other. But when on the flat earth map, they wouldn't be seeing the same stars at all. But in reality, when somebody's, in those 3 locations, they are seeing the very same stars. All right, the flat earth map does not make sense at all. You can't explain this in the flat earth model. So we're going to go on to the next one, which is moon cycles or lunar cycles. Yes, we can clearly observe with our own eyes that the moon changes in relationship to the sun throughout the month. But that could not happen in a flat earth model because they have put the sun and the moon in a stationary path circling over the disk. It is clear in the scriptures that Yehovah knows that we should be able to view the moon cycles, right? Yes, as people who understand his calendar and how he wants it found, his feast calendar actually depends upon the lunar cycles. The moon is his clock in the sky. Psalms 104:9 says, he made the moon to mark the seasons, or the Moedim, and the sun knows its time for setting. Okay, so the creator of all things says that he's put the moon to mark the Moedim, his appointments. He's put the moon in the sky to help us know when to show up for his appointments, right? And then he made the sun to know it's time for setting. So in this model, the flat earth model, the sun never sets. It never sets. It doesn't set. It just continues in a circle over the flat earth or the disk, right? Isaiah 66:23 says, from new moon to new moon and from Sabbath to Sabbath, all flesh shall come to worship before me, declares Yehovah Elohim. So the creator of the moon, the creator of the earth, believes that we can observe a new moon. In fact, he commands us to observe the new moon. So obviously he made it happen that way, right? So observation of the sliver would be absolutely impossible in a flat earth fallacy because there is no moon cycles with a fixed opposite each other location, sun and moon, okay? And flat earthers, through their belief, are calling Yehovah a liar because Yehovah said we should be able to, and flat earthers are saying, no, we're not. So, flat earther, if you truly believe in flat earth and that there are no moon cycles, and you can't explain that, and you don't think it actually exists, then you are calling Yehovah a liar. And I would be really careful where you go with that. I would repent right now from that because Yehovah says it's possible. He made it to work and to operate that way, so therefore it is. This is really no small thing. This is really no small thing. This is an amazing, incredible planet we live on, and this is a wicked delusion that is being sent our way, and people are getting their panties in a bunch over it. Let's continue on. So what do we have so far? We have lunar eclipses, the ocean tides, the planets, the sun, the southern pole stars, the moon cycles, and now we're going to talk about sunrise and sunset. In the flat earth model, the sun and the moon never actually set or go down, when clearly we observe that they do. Enough said. Okay, so another one is changing daylight hours. Daylight hours would never change in the flat earth model, but clearly we have less daylight in the winter and more in the summer. Seasons would actually be impossible in the flat earth fallacy because where the season come from? I mean, our seasons come because the earth is tipped towards or away from the sun, depending, and how there's so many beautiful aspects to how the planet works with the entire solar system and with all the other planets and in its orbit and stuff to create the seasons and everything that we go through here on the planet. Seasons and the changing daylight hours are completely impossible in the flat earth model. All right, another thing that's impossible in the flat earth model is the distance on the flat earth map between Australia and South America. Okay, so this is incredibly so stupid. Real life flights from Sydney, Australia to Santiago, Chile is a journey of 7,000 miles and takes 12 hours. Over 430,000 passengers have made this route since it was opened. So we have 430,000 witnesses to how long it takes to go from Sydney, Australia to Chile. But This flight would be absolutely impossible according to the irrational flat Earth map, as it is over 3 times the distance and would take over 36 hours to make that same flight, not just 12. I just feel like this gets dumber and dumber, and I'm hoping you're on board with me. Okay, if you're not, yeah, I'll help you. So again, we are going over observable with our very own eyes phenomena that does not work in a flat Earth model. Okay, so far we have lunar eclipses, the ocean tides, the planets, the sun, the southern pole stars, the moon cycles, the sunrise and sunset, changing daylight hours, the distance between Australia and South America, and now we're going to talk about solar eclipse. This is another kind of eclipse. We talked about the lunar eclipse, but here's the solar eclipse. The moon actually has to pass between the sun and the earth for this to happen. So we observe this to be true in the natural world, but again, the flat Earth model can't explain this. It just doesn't make any sense at all. At all. At all. We have witnesses. We have things that Yehovah has placed in nature so that we can witness how things operate, how things work. And we can have, like I've talked about before, we can have, knowledge and understanding and wisdom, all gained from the Ruach HaKodesh, who helps us understand how his things work, right? So I really look at the people that believe this flat Earth nonsense, and I think, I'm not so sure you have the Ruach HaKodesh in you. I feel like these flat earthers who buy this junk, who really believe this stuff, have rejected wisdom and knowledge and understanding. All right. What did I say? All right, let's go on. Okay, so another observable phenomena that does not work in the flat Earth fallacy model, satellites. So flat earthers, they use GPS, they use cell phones, right? They use the internet to upload their lies. But in their flat Earth model, there can be no satellites because satellites are actually orbiting the globe. That's what a satellite does. And they don't believe in a globe nor in satellites. Personally, I think that they should give up their cell phones and their internet connection, and then we would be all the better off without their lies. Okay, so another thing that doesn't work in a flat Earth model that we can clearly see with our own eyes is galaxies. So we can clearly observe galaxies with telescopes. There's galaxies all over our universe into deep space, and we can actually see through telescopes some of these galaxies. So where do flat earthers actually put these galaxies in their model? Into the dome? Whatever. I guess, galaxies in their mind don't exist perhaps, but nevertheless, they are true and they do exist, and so galaxies would be absolutely impossible in the flat Earth model. All right, another thing would be seeing the sun and the moon in the sky together and also coming closer together throughout the month. So we can clearly see with our very own eyes that sometimes the sun and the moon are in the sky at the same time. I actually witnessed that this week. This week, the moon was out in the sky while the sun was out there. You can see both. Sometimes they're not in the same sky. You can't see both, but sometimes they're, and they start to move closer and closer together until they pass each other, right? The flat Earth model doesn't allow for this because of the fixed opposite each other location on top of the globe that they've got this fallacy going, right? So in the flat Earth model, they are basically in a path that never changes, but obviously it does. Seeing both the sun and the moon at the same time in the sky and coming closer together in the sky would be actually very much impossible in the flat Earth model. All right, so another thing that is an observable phenomena that does not work with the flat Earth fallacy is GPS, global communications, Google Earth, weather prediction, and the ability to spy on every country on Earth. So Sean Murray writes in an article, 5 Things Flat Earthers Actually Believe, that was published on December 4th, 2017. He says that, quote, flat Earth's explanation for all of the above, pseudo-satellites, which is a fancy term for cell phone towers, and stratolites, which is a fancy term for a balloon. Apparently, America managed to float a balloon over North Korea to get all those nice images of nuclear missile sites. So obviously this whole thing, all that stuff does not work in a flat earth model. Flat earthers rely on the globe and everything that we've done with using the globe to have GPS or global communications and all this stuff. They use all that and then they deny it. Delusional, absolutely delusional. All right, again, we touched on this before, but we also see that the 4 seasons are something that we can observe with our eyes that would be absolutely impossible with the flat earth model. So we talked about this just a second ago, but how do you get spring, summer, fall, and winter in a snow globe? Okay, how do you get seasons without the earth having an axis to tip on and without it rotating around the sun? As I said before, I believe there was an ice canopy that fell at the time of the flood. And they didn't have seasons as we know it before the flood. They had moedim, which is the word for seasons, but not spring, summer, winter, and fall. The existence of that canopy would explain all that. It would explain not having the seasons before the flood. But the non-existence of this canopy now would explain why we have the 4 seasons and why it is super hard to live in them. If we were living in a snow globe, Earth with a dome, we wouldn't have the 4 seasons, but it would be a consistent temperature all around the flat plane, the disk. I don't even like saying that. But remember that the fictitious flat Earth map has ice in the middle of it and ice all around it. Remember that Yehovah said after the flood in Genesis 8:22 that while the earth remaineth seedtime and harvest, cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. Genesis 8:22 in the King James Version, remember that. Which this would mean that he, the Creator, believes that we have seasons now because of how he made it to work after the flood. Flat earthers are irrational and ignore all the evidence that we can see with our own eyes. It would be absolutely impossible to have the 4 seasons in the flat earth model, in the flat earth fallacy. We have another one, observing things sinking into the horizon and observing the curvature of the earth from a plane. So we can actually observe with our very own eyes that the earth is curved. Just hire a pilot and go up and see for yourself. So if by chance a flat earther actually does see a curve, they're such loyalists that they will blame being able to see a ship dip over the horizon or seeing any curve to the earth on atmospheric conditions. But what is actually happening is that the curve of the earth is being witnessed. They want to just completely close their eyes to actual evidence. So again, you can actually see the curve of the earth from a plane. You can see a ship sinking over the horizon, yada, yada, yada. And this is actually observable to our eyes, but this is something that would not work in the flat earth model, okay? And it doesn't work with the flat earth person who doesn't want to believe what they actually see with their eyes. They want to blame something else for it and try to shift and rationalize in ways that don't make any sense. All right, another thing would be all the jobs that require a spherical earth to operate. Okay, so pilots of any kind, navigators, communication technology, architects, aerospace engineering, meteorology, rocket engineering and launching, etc., etc., etc. They all require a spherical earth. There is a lot of jobs that require a spherical earth in order to actually exist. And people actually have these jobs. Go figure, they actually have these jobs. I think flat earthers just want to do like this and go, la 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 la, I can't hear you, I can't see you. Oh my. I think they just want to close their eyes off to the reality of the physical world, and they want to live in a fantasy world because it's easier, right? They don't have to deal with reality. A myth is much easier to live in than reality. Okay, another thing that would be impossible in the flat earth model that is observable to our eyes is rockets. Okay, where do rockets actually go? Thousands of people have seen them take off, and they've seen it in person. They are manned, They, people work on these rockets to help them go. They build them and they shoot them up and we see them go. Okay, so what happens to them? Do they break through the dome? Do they, crack the dome? What exactly? At some point, here's what's going to happen. Flat earthers are going to move the dome. They're going to think, oh, well, it doesn't really work that way, so it's going to extend all the way around the moon, perhaps. Maybe the dome is that high. Okay, whatever. No, rockets travel into space, people, not into the dome. All right, so another thing would be that all the other planets we can observe are spherical. This is something to think about. So we observe all the other planets in our solar system as spherical. So why would ours be a different shape and work completely differently? This is really not Yah's way. So our solar system works together really intricately. Earth operates in the context of working with all the other planets in our solar system to provide a habitable planet. The flat Earth model works more like a fairy tale. It's more like a fairy tale island in the sky. It's single, it's all by itself. It's floating around there and it's not dependent on anything or anybody else. It's just, all by itself up there. But no, he made everything to work in tandem with each other, didn't he? We observe that in creation, right? Okay, so just a couple more things that we can actually observe with our eyes and do with our bodies that doesn't work in a flat earth fallacy. Continuing to walk in a straight line will actually bring you back to the same spot that you started in. Actually so. In fact, that's the whole premise when Magellan went around the world. Okay, so flat earthers believe this is because we are subconsciously walking in circles wherever we go, rather than walking in straight lines. But I would contend that they are the ones walking in circles, not us. All right, so walking it that way, and eventually you're going to come back to the same place, right? Take a plane, go that way, you're going to come back to the same place because you're going to go around the globe. The flood. So there's a phenomenon for you, flat earthers, that your fallacy cannot explain the flood. How did that happen, right? Scripture says that the waters covered everything on our planet, everything. Perhaps a flat earther chooses to believe that this text is not actually literal. So they're going to pick and choose which texts are literal, I guess. But without a sphere and gravity, nothing in the flat earth model would have been able to contain the waters that destroyed Earth, not even their fabricated Antarctica wall of ice. So, as you've seen, I think I showed it already, what does water do in space? It comes together as a ball, right? So if you've covered the entire Earth with water, let's just say it is a flat earth and it's going to flow over it. Logically speaking, if there was enough water to cover everything on your stupid flat earth model, then it would end up coming together in the shape of a ball. Oh, there isn't a flat earth. We are sphere shaped, and the earth was covered with water because he said it was, and we know it was, and there's evidence that it was. All right, so the flood did happen on a catastrophic level. Everything, as the scripture says, was covered, including mountaintops and everything. But if you continue to believe in your flat earth nonsense, you're gonna have to wrestle with that one, because that you can't explain that, without being a spherical earth. All right, a couple more things. Elijah, in the scriptures, where did he go? Where did he go? Did he just go into the dome? And then last but not least, how about Yeshua's ascension? Where did he go? I guess he ascended into the dome of the snow globe, right? And that's probably where Yehovah lives. Since you're so egocentric that he lives here now. He doesn't live here now. He's going to, but not yet. And he doesn't live in the snow globe. He's not living in the... It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So we could keep going on this because there's a lot of things that would not work in the flat earth model, but I don't have any more time for this. So I hope this has helped you a little. I think that we have enough to know that this is just foolishness again. So may Yahweh bless you with clarity, and may he rescue you from this lie. All right, so thanks for watching. Part 9 is where we'll look at biblical imagery and is the Bible a science book? This is very important to discuss. So don't forget to like and subscribe and all that jazz, and I will see you in episode number 9. Girls like to wear flowers in their hair. I don't think this is fun. I think this is needed and necessary. I don't think this is fun. I think I broke my fan.